space here. We'll let people trickle in. They don't know where the space is. We're also supposed to have a guest speaker who's not here yet. Maybe he won't come. We'll see what happens. Alright, so I am starting this meeting at 3:19 p.m. Alright, and our first order of business is roll call. So Parliamentarian Adams is not going to be here today. We have an excuse. Comms Director Bradley.
Here.
Treasurer Geary.
Here.
Chief of Staff Brasinger.
Here.
President McLaughlin.
Here.
I am here. Graphic Design Coordinator Pugh.
Hi.
Recording Secretary Steiner.
Here.
DEI Chair Williams.
Here.
Senator Bell gave me an excuse and will not be here today. Senator Cebulski.
Here.
Senator Dixon. Senator Fedor. Do we have an excuse for Senator Fedor?
Nope.
Alright. Senator Fuenterra.
Here.
Senator Harris. No excuse for Senator Harris.
Nope.
Senator Mahon.
Here.
Senator-elect Rafe.
Oh, here.
Senator-elect Hayes.
Here.
If I say your last name wrong, please just tell me, because I'm gonna mess it up. Senator-elect Pickett.
Here.
Senator-elect Carey or Carey.
Carrie. Here.
Senator-elect Sala.
Here.
Senator-elect Richards.
Here.
Senator-elect Mendoza.
Here.
Senator-elect Palermo.
Here.
Senator-elect Curdy.
Kurt. Here.
Curti, okay. Senator-elect Walker Wintruba.
Here.
Senator-elect Osteen.
Here.
Senator-elect Slaninka. Any excuse for Slaninka? Alright. Senator-elect Plizga.
Here.
Senator-elect Rangel.
Here.
Senator-elect Brooks. Senator-elect Brooks. Alright. Excuse. Hey.
Come around the other door? Yeah, come on. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
We've
but
around
there's
this
not
one
many
probably
seats, but
I'm gonna say something.
Senator-elect Mangus or Mangus?
It's Mangus.
Mangus. Alright, cool. Well, thank you all for being here. We're excited to swear you in. We're probably gonna have to change rooms because there's too many people, but that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. So, prepare for that because it's probably gonna happen. Alright, so first thing we need to do is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion for any of my current senators to approve the minutes? Senator Cebulski. Alright, do we have a second? Senator Dixon. Alright, with that, the minutes are approved. Well, that was not a good whack. There we go. Alright. Next up is approval of the agenda. Any current senators want a motion to approve the agenda or any addendums that need to be? Fornatero. Is that just a motion?
I motion.
Okay. Alright, do we have a second? Cebulski. Awesome. With that, the agenda is approved. We have much to do today, my friend. So we're going to start with our lovely new senators and doing a Senate appointment. So if you have not already been sworn in, please stand and raise your right hand. Or else. Alright, you're going to repeat after me, but I got you, so you can read it. I state your name.
I.
Yup. Pledge to serve the Student Government Association of Point Park University.
Pledge to serve the Student Government Association of Point Park University
And the students within.
and the students within
To faithfully execute the duties assigned to my office.
to faithfully execute the duties assigned to my office
And to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability
Uphold the provisions and purpose of the Constitution of the Student Government Association.
uphold the provisions and purpose of the Constitution of the Student Government Association.
Yay! They're trying to make us do that without a script, could you imagine? Nice. Alright. So with that, welcome. Thanks for doing that little whole thing. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that you guys are here. And we are just gonna move swiftly forward to our guest speaker, Dr. Dwight Hines. If you would like to come up here, if you'd like to stay there, whatever you prefer.
Okay, cool. Well, thank
Making
you.
you walk around a lot.
Yeah, that's all good.
They
That's all
can
good.
travel around the parameter.
I'm going to grab my papers. Stuff to share with you. And when we're done here, if anybody has interest in getting a cool red t-shirt from me, we got plenty, so happy to share them. I'm going to pass one of those around each way. and you guys can take one. These are just our flyers. It's just one of our points. So I want to thank your president and vice president for inviting me to be a part of this. An opportunity to express the position. I'm one of the members of our full-time faculty union. I'm a professor here at Point Park University. I don't recognize anyone from class, so that's itself an interesting facet, but welcome. And so as you may know, we're in the process of contract negotiations, trying to get a new contract for our full-time faculty. Was anyone able to be out there on Friday when we had that event on campus? Yes, yep, I recognize you, in fact, yeah. Yeah, so you might have seen through the social media or word of mouth, heard from word of mouth, that we had a pretty great turnout, actually. A lot of faculty, a lot of students came out and support us. Basically, that event was just to get some awareness to our side of the equation, understand what's at stake in this negotiations. And that's pretty much why I'm here as well today, is to kind of touch base with you as well and see if we can't generate some of your interest and support for our cause as well. As I passed around here, did everyone get a copy? It's not dramatic or anything, it's just but this is one of the talking points that we're trying to get across to people is to fully appreciate. So, some context, all right? And I'll be brief, okay? This is our third contract. Prior to about 8 years ago, we did not have a contract. That meant that the administration could do with us what they will. And no raises. I taught here for the first 8 years that I was here, 7 years I was here, I did not get a raise once for one of those years. And I only got a raise at the end of that time because I got tenure, and you get a bump in pay and tenure because you're getting promoted, right? It was honestly $1,000 or $2,000 for that jump in pay at that time, and that was now almost 10 years ago. Very small, right? And why I'm saying that is not to tell my story, but to highlight how grossly underpaid the faculty have been here from the beginning of this institution, right? And I hope we all appreciate how problematic that is, and I think some of you are probably aware of the ongoing discussions in the wider social context, political context of minimum wage, and how if you don't have a minimum wage that allows people to survive working on a 40-hour week, then it's no good, right? And that's basically where we are. We are paid in comparison to our peer institutions. So universities about the same size and roughly the same geographic region. We are grossly underpaid and have been throughout the history of this institution. And we've been creeping up with the last two contracts, creeping up incrementally towards greater parity. But then, as you all know, COVID happened, the inflation, and basically that eviscerated all of the gains that we got in the previous contract. We lost 4% of our purchasing power because of inflation last time around. So we're behind, and have always been behind, and that's the premise, that's the larger context. So for us asking for the university to bump our pay a couple percent, it amounts to a couple $100,000 for the institution, right? And if you know anything about the budget of this place, it's in the millions, right? And plus, we've got ongoing discussions of moving to the NCAA, which costs this university a significant amount of money. We've got these outstanding debts to previous administrators, and this isn't including the contemporary president's salary, right? We don't know what he makes because they haven't made that public notice. But we reasonably confident that he makes somewhere around $800,000, $750,000, $800,000 a year. So you put the three administrators in the president's category, they're paying them almost $3 million. And we're asking for a couple percent rate increase, amounts to maybe $300,000 total for all of our faculty. $300,000 to be spread over that group. So we don't think we're out of line. We think we're very much in line with a world where we want to have equal pay with our peer institutions. And we believe that we need to be made whole, especially catching up with inflation a little bit. So that's the spiel, right? Happy to entertain any questions you might have about this. We're in negotiations. It's still ongoing, but we found that they've sort of started to dig in their heels a little bit. So we want to generate more interest, and that's and I guess that leads us going forward. Is there anything you guys can imagine that we could do collectively, right? Meaning you as a body, the student body as a whole, and the faculty, because we're open to a lot of possibilities. One thing we did think about and brainstorm just briefly was we have a bunch of buttons coming in. I have a couple. I got one in my pocket. They're nothing exciting, but everybody loves a button, right? So we got 500 of these baby coming soon, and so we thought maybe have an event where you would get members of the SGA out there, members of the student body in general, use it as another opportunity to generate more awareness on this topic beyond this circle, right? I'm sure your guys are going to do your fair share and get out there and spread the word. I've always found with great, in my experience, a lot of great students and interest in these types of issues. So that's one thing we thought of, maybe a button, gifting event, so to speak. But anything else? First of all, questions. Let me see if there's any questions before I move on. Yeah.
In that that graphic, like when you scan it, there was a couple of things that I found interesting about it that I was wondering if you could provide any more information on. It says like Chris Prasalis made $0, which is, I'm willing to bet pretty much anything that's not actually true.
Right.
Does that mean that he's being paid by another entity other than the university, or was last year rather?
Yeah.
And then my other question would be, I see an Austin Davis as the board member who exited on January 31st, 2023. The Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania is from McKeesport and is named Austin Davis and would have been inaugurated like a couple weeks before that. Is that the same guy?
I don't know the answer to that last question. Yeah, I'm not that versed in Pennsylvania politics to be any help there. But the first question is a really interesting one. And that stood out to us as well, that Prasalis was not listed, even though he had come on, on the scene at, I forget, some point in the spring of 2023. So logically, you would have expected that his salary would have been included in that financial statement. But so it stands out to us as well, and I'm not certain why. Now, you may know that he was associated with and has long been a member of the Board of Trustees at Point Park University. So he's been very deeply invested in the institution. Nobody's questioned his commitment to the institution. But he also runs a consulting group called Hill Consulting Group, and they are employed as a consultant at Point Park University. So where they stop and Point Park starts is an open question, and we don't know the answer to that necessarily because we don't get access to that stuff in a timely fashion, right? Presumably this time next year when the 2004 numbers come out, or the numbers for 2023, we'll know a little bit more, but that's one of the things we're challenged by in any negotiations, is we're always playing catch up. We're a little bit behind because these financials don't come out until fully a year later after they've been relevant. So, yeah, I wish I knew more, but that's part of our frustration as well, is just how opaque this system is, and it's just I don't think that's by chance. I think it's designed that way to keep us at a disadvantage, to make it put the ball squarely in their court in terms of their advantage. But yeah, did that see?
Do you have any set meetings to discuss this with anybody?
No, we don't have any real open forums at this point, but we're happy to start doing that. And I think, the events we had last week, if anybody came by Village Plaza on Monday and Tuesday, you would have seen us out there with our red shirts on, distributing them and buttons as well, just trying to generate some discourse on this stuff. I was really amazed, especially on Monday. There was much higher traffic on Monday for classes, but just the amount of students who stopped by and were interested, genuinely interested, not like, hey, what you got going on? Oh, no, I'm not interested. That interest. And there was some of that, but by the vast majority of it, people stopped engaged, asking really good questions, stayed focused. It was very impressive. So those types of things are likely to come up, and that's kind of how I imagine that button session might be. We set up a table in Village Plaza or some other place on campus and hand out buttons and just talk to people and bring up greater awareness. So, but as far as a standing meeting, we don't have anything that's public facing at this point, right? Yeah, most of our stuff is internal, and it, you can appreciate because you guys are students, you guys are all busy as I'm sure and working, many of you to boot. We know that's a major fact at this institution. So too are we. All the members of the negotiating team, like myself. We've been through 15 sessions, 15 different days we've met on campus with the management. We don't get paid for that, right? You may think, oh, union, that's a paid position. Not at all. None of our people are paid for their role as negotiators. So we're doing this on top of our other job, which is teaching you guys and being part of this institution in that way. So it is a challenge to all of us to find time and energy to get out and make bring these things to greater awareness. But yeah. So other thoughts or questions? Kyle?
Yeah, and I think right there, you sort of spoke to it a little bit, but is there anything you would be able to share about how this may impact students' class schedules, access to classes, major requirements, things of that sort?
There shouldn't be any interruption, right? The negotiation process is designed to be somewhat separate from the ongoing workings of the university. We're currently out of contract, as just an example. So our contract expired at the end of June. But because of the provisions of labor law in the US, the old contract remains in effect until we get a new one. And so we're covered by the old contract still. We're fine. We're just not getting any sort of increases to our salaries as we'd ideally get. But it doesn't affect the institution. So all this stuff is sort of, intramural to some degree in terms of like the effects on the university. But, it could affect on long-term effects on the institution because, you start to see it. And I've started noticing this in my time here. I've been here 16 years is how long I've been at Point Park. And you see, I've seen dozens of faculty who left this institution because they weren't making enough. They could easily get a significant wage increase by going across town or institutions even further afield. And dozens, I'm not kidding, dozens of colleagues, people that I started working with here in the last 10, 15 years who have departed for that reason. So that speaks to the effects of these negotiations in some abstract way, right? So, we're fighting to get some legal or some parity in our pay, some reasonable parity with our colleagues in other institutions. And when we don't get that, as we have in the past, it whittles away at the institution. Plenty of the people seek out other opportunities and end up working elsewhere. And that does affect the institution. It does sort of erode the base of this institution, which, it's students and faculty. We're the basis of this institution. As much as other groups are part of it and important to it, like you guys are it, and we're right next to you in that regard. So, yeah. But you guys think the button event, you guys interested in getting some buttons? We got contract now and faculty strong. I like prefer the faculty strong, but I think everybody should be wearing those if they are so inclined. T-shirts as well. This one's contract now. The red is slimming, so it's makes you feel very svelte when you're wearing it. So plus a little bit like an agitator, so that's fun too. Yeah. Yes, please.
So obviously, the contract's expired. Has there been any outreach by the administration or anything to talk about getting a new one, or has all these negotiations been you guys kind of starting the talk?
No, this has been a formal process, and we're working with them, right? And there's no reason to believe we would fail to continue to work together. It's part of the process, and this compared to previous ones, like I noted, this is our third contract that we're negotiating. The first two went very similar to this, and we notice a similar pattern. We get close to an agreement, and then they start to slow things down a little bit, and that's where us getting a little bit more excited about it helps us. Because then that forces them to get more excited about it and realize, okay, we're close, let's finish this out. So this is very consistent with that. It's a little bit longer than last time. It was 3 years ago. We were getting a deal done right about now, 3 years ago. So, but we're still in that same time frame. And yeah, we're working with them. And they're working hard. But at the same time, their mantra is, well, we're too poor to pay you guys this couple $100,000 that would make you feel reasonably whole and respected and appreciated by your institution, right? Meanwhile, they're paying millions of dollars out to former administrators and other people that are no longer servicing this institution. So we seek to highlight that disparity and say, can't you guys break off a little something for us, make us whole, and we'll be all the more able to do our jobs more effectively. Because I don't think there's any shortness of commitment to this institution from the faculty side. I hope you wouldn't disagree with that statement, because I think the majority of our faculty are very steadfastly dedicated to this project. But feel like the institution could do a little bit better by us at this point. Please.
Just to settle my own curiosity, do you think you're getting anywhere with the meetings with the administration?
I do. Yeah. It sometimes feels like it's one step forward, 2 steps back, and it feels like that, and it actually is sometimes. But by and large, we've had some real progress in the course of our negotiations. So, in 15 meetings since June, we've accomplished a lot. And so, I'd say, it's dangerous to talk about the details of any of these things, and we're legally prevented from talking about a lot of the details. Even if I wanted to, it doesn't make sense. But I'd say we're 85% done, 85 to 90% done in terms of like the overall volume of the agreement. It just remains, and the issues you might imagine, compensation is almost always one of the ones that sticks out, and the one that lasts pretty much till the last day. So yeah, but we're getting there. But that's where you guys can play a role too, by increasing the awareness and just saying, hey, we stand with the faculty, we think you could do better by them. And that's all the statement has to be. You know, they respect you guys. I know for a fact from being your age once, a long time ago, and even just, you know, in the classroom, it's hard to imagine, for many of us to feel like we're that empowered. But in fact, curiously enough, not just you guys, but the student body in general are incredibly empowered because they do look to you and they do understand that you're the lifeblood of this institution. So anything you can do in support of us, it sends a message to them. And it doesn't have to be grandiose. Nobody here has to stand up and shout anybody down or you know, stick their finger in anybody's face. No, we don't need that from you. We just need you to stand up beside us and, you know, ideally wear a t-shirt and say, hey, we think it could be done better. So, did I see your hand down there?
Yeah, I kind of have two things, and it kind of went with Senator Segel's point. Is there anything that you could legally share with us, or is it all just kind of like under wraps for now?
See, the thing is, because so much stuff is tentative, if we say anything out loud and then for something shifts in the room and that doesn't come to fruition, then we look fools, right? Then we said, oh, we're getting a blanket increase, and then something shifts and that doesn't happen, then we really run afoul. And that's as much as anything with our own membership, right? So we tend to keep our cards close to the vest for that reason.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, it's standard negotiating practice. I had to learn this. I had to be brought up to speed on this, right, when I first joined the negotiating team last time. And, yeah, it's fascinating. But
And then my second question.
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry.
No.
My second question was, like, outside of, like, sharing, like, awareness and, like, sharing as much as we possibly can and, like, wearing t-shirts, buttons, all that, is there anything else that us as, like, SGA would be able to do outside of just spread awareness? And is there anything else we could do more for you guys to promote your message more?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm not as versed with SGA and its, you know, mechanisms or its mandate as I probably could be. So I would leave that more up to you guys, but I would say if there is any mechanisms by which you could make statements on our behalf of your solidarity, right? That's a great word, I find, solidarity and support of our issue, or of our cause. That would be awesome. You know, if there was any mechanism by which you could state it, you know, in a, you know, through some sort of formal process, you know, professional, but forceful, right? Yeah, but I'd leave that up to you guys, right? I trust you guys would, you know, to discuss that. And if you come to that in position and you feel like it's in your best interest or the interest of this institution, then please do. And we'd be happy to talk to you more about language and stuff like that if you're interested in incorporating some more details in terms of our talking points. But also, we'd be happy to leave that up to you as well, because I think it's important to maintain some degree of separation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you for saying that, and thank you for even entertaining that, and all of you for hearing me out. I really appreciate that. It's really sweet of you guys to be willing to engage in this way. Yeah, Connor.
I would say, and first off, in regards to an official statement, and I also am saying this to all of you, with the vote of our body, we could at the very least put out a statement of solidarity, an official SGA statement of solidarity with the faculty. That's obviously something we can discuss in greater detail after this, but it is something that is well within our ability to do at minimum.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that something that I heard being floated around from some people who were looking to show solidarity was some sort of like email or letter writing campaign from students to administration to sort of show our support.
Yeah.
Is that something you think there might be some benefit in?
Oh, I think so. I think anytime you get enough people pushing in the same direction, you know, any volume, it can't be easily ignored, right? And like I say, they do listen to you. It may not seem like it always, and they may not always respond in the ways we want them to, but they do hear you as students, as student body. And so, yeah, anything like that would be awesome if you were willing to generate something. You know, on social media, just, you know, powerful opportunity to, you know, send, you know, share materials. You know, we posted some videos from our event on Monday. You know, it was quite empowering. I was really amazed. I hadn't been formally involved in a mobilization event like that. And it was almost 100 of us out there and chanting and just enjoying out in the sunshine on a Friday afternoon, trying to be a bit of an agitator, but nothing aggressive, not out of line. And it was really exciting, really fun to be a part of. I was really impressed how much I enjoyed it, even at this stage of my life. So I recommend that too. Did you have something else?
Oh, yeah, I guess this is kind of going back. I feel like the conversation was veering a different way. I was just wondering, do you know why so much of the funds are given to, I guess, former employees that aren't, like, have they touched on that, or?
Well, one of them was former President Green, who maybe some of you were here while he was still here in tenure. And he left abruptly for reasons that we still don't fully understand. Some of that, so then, is severance package. So these are negotiated if they terminate people, and especially prematurely, then they are quite often entitled to these severance packages. And that's what administration is saying. Well, we couldn't anticipate that cost, but that's your job, your management. Your job is to anticipate that, and that's baked into your overall cost portfolio. So using that as an excuse to say we can't calve off a couple $100,000 for the faculty to make them whole, meanwhile we're paying him over $1 million in severance, doesn't work as far as I'm concerned, because it doesn't account for the fact that that's your job, is to manage this institution and see through those possibilities. The other one, President Hennigan, who was president prior to President Green, he's still on the payroll as a consultant. And from what I understand, he's still this year. So the financials were shared here, 2023. He's still, as far as I understand, we haven't seen the financials, but this is word of mouth, that he's still on the payroll as an outside consultant. I don't know much about running a business, but I don't know any businesses that have two presidents on staff simultaneously paying them, one of them, an ex-president being paid a consulting fee, and a current president being paid whatever he is. So yeah, those kind of things stand out to us as being kind of inconsistent with this idea that we're so cash-strapped that we can't make it through this crisis unless the faculty forego any sort of wage increase, which has kind of been the argument we've been faced with. Yeah. Other thoughts or questions?
Yeah. I think a fun fact about the consulting thing is that he works for this consulting company that Bruce Salas founded, and of which Bruce Salas is still, I think, a third majority, or a third shareholder of that entire company too.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know enough about it to say that there's anything untoward about it, but it looks funny when you got these layers of people inside and outside the institution drawing from the institution, and meanwhile we're left. I'm sure you guys hear it. There's probably all sorts of arguments to you guys about, oh, we can't do this for you, we can't do that for you, and so you guys probably hear a similar version as we do, and then you look at these numbers and you're like, what is that? What? Okay. Right? Yeah.
Sorry, do you know, I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions. Do you know, so prior, I guess, to him being president, was his consulting company, like, was that the consulting company for Point Park, or was that after?
I don't know if they had a pre-existing relationship prior to that or not. I didn't pay enough attention, the Hill Group, whether it was involved in the university before that. I know, this is public knowledge, Bursalis was part of the board of trustees before, and for a number of years before. But that doesn't mean necessarily that his business, his consulting firm was doing business with Point Park. I just don't know that. We could look it up. I mean, these financials for years going back are available to all of us. And once you get into ProPublica through the scan, you can see them yourself and go back and see if there's, what stands out to you as well. So, yeah. Please.
So, from my understanding, I know that this has a lot of like 2030 plans and a lot of, big ideas, big things that maybe aren't, as current. Are they at all pushing things into a we'll work on it eventually kind of thing at all, in terms of like contracting and things like that?
They don't do that very well. No, they don't do that much. They're pretty much, this is, and their argument to date has been, we're poor and we can't give you what you're asking for. And, I just left the meeting, you may not know this, but they're having a meeting with the faculty and the staff, is the president right now over in the PNC Theater. And before I left there to come over here, I heard him say, Enrollment's up 10% at this institution. We're an enrollment-driven institution, so that money, the money that brings in in terms of tuition is what keeps this place going, keeps the lights on, so to speak. And retention is up by an astronomical percentage. So that means not only are we getting more students in here, which you've all have undoubtedly seen in terms of increased volume, right? And that puts a pressure on the institution itself, right? But that's an issue for another time, I guess. But then also, too, retention is up. So that means more students who previously would have gone elsewhere or stopped their education process are staying. So all that's good, right? But then doesn't that reinforce the point that, okay, let's share the wealth a little bit, right? And do so now with the idea that then we don't have to worry about this again next time, right? We can, or we'll just discuss other things next time, right? Right, workload, that'd be a great idea too, something to talk about. But we're putting that on the back burner right now. Yeah. So, did you have a thought, question?
I did, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I guess, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything else? Oh, please, yeah.
I would think part of the reason that a lot of people come here and the reason they stay here is for the staff and like the teachers, professors, everybody that they interact with. So how does that not be recognized as a crucial reason to, if our retention is up, maybe it would be like keep staying up if we keep our good professors and the ones that we value.
Yeah. I like that's good sound logic from my perspective, and maybe something you could incorporate in sort of any statement you make, as a group or individually, is like connecting those dots for them, right? We stay here, we came here and we stay here because of these programs and these people, right? And I think after a while, most of it's the people as opposed to anything else, right? Or the points of contact. I remember my undergraduate, and all I really remember are a couple really great professors that I had that continue to stick with me in terms of my own development. So if that anything resonates with you at all, then absolutely, please help make that point for us, if you would. That in addition to students, the faculty are the lifeblood of this institution, and the two are complementary, obviously. Yeah. I don't want to leave anybody out. I know eye contact doesn't want you to feel like you're being left out. But. All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Were you going to raise your hand?
Do you think that the president's values are like skewed, as in like he was very pushing on starting fraternities here at the school, and if we had the money to open fraternity houses and do all of that, why wouldn't we put the money back into other things that the students are more passionate about instead of creating a program that no one asked for?
Well, I mean, just to be very candid, like, personally, I agree 100% with that statement. Personally, like, I think that I'm personally against these movements to try to make this institution more quote unquote traditional, and that includes the movement towards a Greek system. It honestly includes the moving up to the NCAA. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think our resources are best dedicated for that. I think one of the things that always stood out to me, and it still does when I first came here, was how different Point Park was, right? And how the confluence of the COPA world and a commuter school, and just the energy that was created by a lot of different people coming from all around the country, and a lot of Western PA folks and Ohio folks to boot, right? That's what I think is one of our greatest calling cards, the selling points. And so to try to write over that and try to make it more of a traditional institution, that personally it would not be where I'd be dedicating the resources of the institution. I think it actually contradicts, and as a corollary to that, like this whole coronation thing that went on Friday, right? The inauguration, as it was called, the coronation, because who has an inauguration a year and a half after you've been in your position? Okay, we did. But leave that aside for now. It was funded by outside donors. They did that. They took pains to highlight that because they didn't want anyone to think it was coming out of the coffers of the institution. Didn't want you guys to be able to push back on them and go, hey, I'm paying for that. Why am I paying for that? Right? Which would have been a legitimate question, I think, by some of us. They got these outside donors, And as far as I understand, well, then if they can get outside donors to do that, why don't we get outside donors, or why don't we don't use that money for other things, right? Maintain programs that are in jeopardy or keep things going. Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you know if there's anywhere we can see what the breakdown of like where that funding came from and how much?
That's one of those things that they may disclose it next year in these similar ones, but no, they you know, they do not share that stuff with us until they have to legally, right?
Wow.
And they do not let us understand what's going on at any given moment, because it's their advantage at the negotiating table. And we can ask all we want. We ask till we're blue in the face, and they simply let us go, no, we're not going to do that, because they don't legally have to. So then they're not bound by that responsibility. So I wish I knew. Yeah.
That doesn't seem very sketchy. I think it's probably fine.
In the future, I do think we have interest in like bringing in somebody that can try and present that type of information to us.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
So we will hopefully in the future have somebody that can give us some more detail on that. Also, we have a few more things to get to, so we'll have a couple like final questions and thoughts, and we'll have to wrap up.
Yeah, I've taken enough of your time.
When you said programs in jeopardy, are you talking about like courses that they're considering closing down after this year?
Yeah.
And how they're not funding for certifications for different
Yeah.
things anymore?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There was already whispers in that direction.
Do you think they will funnel that money back into you guys and the programs they still have open, or do you think they're trying to funnel that money somewhere else?
Great question. Do you want to know what I think, or what? It's possible they will. It's entirely possible they will. I don't know enough about that, but part of me is cynical. You know, definitely cynical about that. But ideally, so yeah, they'd find ways to put that back into ways that are productive for the university. Absolutely.
Any final things you want to say before we wrap up? Right.
Thank you for coming here and telling us about this.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's great fun. And if you guys have any questions that you pop in your head afterwards, feel free to reach out to me, J. Dwight Hines, or it's actually J.D. Hines at Point Park. So you can email me any questions you have. I'm happy to respond. And yeah, really appreciate you guys extending the invitation and giving me the opportunity to come. Does anybody want a T-shirt before I go? Okay, let's do that. Yeah, right. And everybody got a sheet? Okay. Here, I'm gonna leave that one with you, right? Yeah. And we'll talk more with the with Vice President and President and see about getting a button event going. If that works for you guys or us. So I apologize. These are all extra larges, but they do shrink down neatly, so you can tailor them yourself if you don't mind passing those around. And I'm gonna go start on the other side, and then I'll get out of your guys here.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I just blew your senator. I know. It was so lightweight. Oh, what are you doing?
Like one? Right? Sweat, right? There's more coming.
I think you'll get more. We get a couple more over.
All right. Some more? Let's get some more. All right, we're out, but I promise those who did get them, I got you back, okay? Email me and we'll make sure we get you the stuff, okay? All right, thanks again, folks. I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate all you do. And reach out if you need any questions, have any questions or thoughts. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, y'all. I definitely should have said this earlier, but I'm sure it'll be reiterated throughout the rest of the meeting. To our new senators, this was a very weird structured meeting today because, we were swearing you guys in. We're gonna have PPT election coming up next, and I'll have Kyle explain how that will work. And obviously, the faculty union stuff is time sensitive right now, so we wanted to get him in as soon as he could be scheduled to come in. So this is a little abnormal for us, and I know it might be intimidating, you have no idea what's going on. I was in your shoes, I get it. We will get there, we will be reaching out about when senator training can happen so you guys can understand the processes a little bit more. But we can't do anything like that until you guys are sworn in, so we had to wait until today. So that's gonna start happening as soon as we are done here. So I don't want anybody to be worried about that, and we'll explain to you throughout the course of this meeting what we need to do. So that being said, it is officially time to get our final exec cab member of the year, PPT, hopefully the last one, we won't have to appoint anyone. So I will hand the floor to Kyle to explain what PPT does, and any senators that are sworn in, which is all of you, are eligible to run for this position, so feel free to give your spiel about it, and then we will walk you through the voting process for that. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
you do
I
it.
have another club meeting at 4 o'clock on Mondays too, so is it okay if I like duck out at 4
Yep.
o'clock on these things?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Lisa, go. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle. I hope you know by this point I'm the SGA president. Yeah, so President Pro Tempore. This is the last member of our executive cabinet, but unlike everybody else who I picked out over the summer, this is voted on for you. This person is supposed to essentially act as your guys' voice in our executive cabinet. If you get this position, you will be third in line if, for some reason, I and Vice President Peterson are unable to fulfill our duties. Additionally, you will be in charge of making sure everyone does their office hours, so get ready to crack the whip on some of your friends around here. You run the Student Innovation Committee, one of our additional committees. It's a fun one. It's the one that I did when I was a senator. You have a lot of free reign to take a lot of the interests you have as a senator and work with some like-minded people to get things done. There's also a stipend, so if you want to get paid money to be here, you should probably run.
It's 5 office hours.
It's 5 office hours a week.
Additionally to your committee meeting and this legislative body.
Yes. It's like Heinz kind of brought up. We as a student body have a lot more power than I think we fully understand. And SGA gives you a lot of opportunity to speak to some of the people in power and have more of a position to demand the things you want. You all are, as senators, more than welcome and in fact encouraged to set up your own meetings with administration, start your own initiatives. President Pro Tempore is not the only person who gets to have that power, but if you get the position, you have more of a structural base to work on that. However, so that being said, if anybody is interested in this position, we will be giving you all the opportunity to give your pitches. A couple of you have already shown interest in running, so I hope you've been thinking about what you're going to say to everybody. And after everybody who wishes to run gives their pitch, we'll pass around little strips of paper. Everyone will write down the name.
We're gonna have to get new strips of paper because I forgot the ones.
Forgot the paper.
So somebody better bust out some paper. Are they?
Something's
Put them in
happening
my
here.
bag.
You all.
Oh my gosh, you have it?
We will
Just
be doing
kidding,
elections
you got the
shortly. So I will give the floor to anybody interested in running. I would recommend as many of you as are interested to do it. Last year we had so many people interested we had to table the vote till the next week. So hopefully we don't have to do this at this time. But I would like anybody interested in running that could now raise their hand. Anybody else? I can't tell. I don't know what this is.
Okay, so is that Lenny, Riley, Zoe, Robert? Is that it? Anybody else?
Speak now.
Speak now, yes.
Sienna.
Okay, Slay. Anybody? Okay, if each of you would like to, we'll just start over here, go around, and you can just give it.
We want to go the other way.
You also don't have to. You also don't have to if you don't want to. Like you're allowed to do whatever, but it might be beneficial.
SGA meeting right now. Call me back.
We can start with that.
Okay. I don't care. I'm just bad at speaking.
We'll start with that.
You're so good at speaking.
All right, Senator you're supposed to.
Learn their names, say your names, please say your names clearly so everybody knows them and you can write them down. Please. Okay. I can also put them on the board if it'll be beneficial. Here. Okay, go ahead.
Alright, so hi, I'm Zoe. Honestly, I'm gonna keep this as simple as I can. I have a lot of ideas. Everyone has a lot of ideas. I'm easy to talk to. I have literally nothing else besides SGA to worry about. So, you know, I'm kind of, that's it really, honestly. I just have so much time to do this, and I already spend enough time with the exec cab, so, you know, I feel like I'm pretty fit for the position.
Alright, so hi, I'm Sienna, and a lot of you probably see me on campus. I've been doing a lot of things in a short time here at Plain Park, and I think that shows I am an extremely committed member of not only SGA, but of all the other clubs and things that I do in my spare time. And I want to bring that commitment and that dedication to making Plain Park an amazing campus to working in SGA. And while maybe I'm not as experienced, I haven't been here as long as some of my other fellow members of SGA now, I still think that I would be the best candidate for the job. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Fornatera. Just a little spiel. So last year I was in SGA, so I already have some experience, which also adds towards that. But during the election process last year, not only was I a part of the SIT committee, but I ran as the interim chair. So I've already been in that position, so I do have some outside knowledge. And so I did tabling, and I just kind of worked in the interim role while Catherine, who was it last year, wasn't able to because she was in the election. And yeah, no, you probably have seen me around campus. I'm a pretty committed member with everything that I do. And I'm very organized about it. That's why I'm able to do so much. And this role involves organization. I am in charge, or whoever is in charge of making sure that everyone's office hours are logged. I remember last year that was a big issue. So just making sure that everything is actually in order this time would be a big thing for me. So yeah.
Hey, I'm Riley Mahan. I was also a senator last year on the SIC committee, and I have, ever since I joined SGA, the first thing that I said, the thing that I keep saying, is that I really want to put solar panels on the school, which is something that, I'm sorry, do you have a problem with that? And that is something that, the Student Innovation Committee, which the President Pro Tempore chairs, can help make some movement towards, but more than just the solar panels, I think that's more emblematic of the kind of stuff I'm passionate about in general, which is green initiatives are one of the big things that I really care about. I have a lot of experience outside of the school doing things like tabling with organizations, door knocking for organizations about things like that, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we could do here as SGA to help limit the amount of emissions that the school has, limit the amount of plastic waste, things like that. I am also really interested in doing things to support our faculty in these contract negotiations as much as we possibly can. I think, as has been said by Dr. Hines and also by Kyle just now, we have a lot more power than I think we realize we have. There is no Point Park without our tuition money, and I think we can leverage that. I am also someone who has struggled a lot with my mental health in the past. That is something I care a lot about, and while I think that Point Park is a school that probably does much better in providing resources to students for that than many schools do, there's always room for improvement. And then the final part of my pitch is that I would like to see us be more proactive towards getting student feedback than we were last year. Last year, we kind of just we made ourselves accessible, but we did really wait for people to come to us. And I think that, if we really want to see good results and represent our constituents well, we need to go to them and directly solicit comments and feedback from them about not just what we're doing here in SGA directly, but also just things that they would like to see done around the school. So yeah, that's my pitch. Hope wasn't too long. It was pretty long, but that's okay. I hope. Um,
I believe so.
Okay.
Senator Richards.
So I'm Linny. I don't know. I haven't really been involved with anything except for now. I'm here now. I don't know. I'm really bad at. I didn't plan this beforehand, so kind of spur of the moment. I just enjoy doing things. I want to be more like intertwined with our school and how we do things, and I don't know.
Is that all?
It's okay.
Alright, cool. Alright, so we're gonna pass out these pieces of paper. This is gonna be senators only that can vote. If you ran, you can vote for yourself. I'm gonna pull up your names. Everybody, please reiterate which one you are to everybody. And then everybody can write down their vote. And if anybody needs a pen, let me know. I can give you a pen. And we can go ahead and do the vote for people.
Dylan, can I have a pen?
Does anybody need a pen?
That is so.
Okay, alright. Does anybody else have extra pens? Do you have extra pens though?
Wait, I have some extra pens. They're fun.
I have 3 pens. And now you're just
I have
It's a mushroom.
It is a mushroom. I have a mushroom pen.
Who are you with? I don't know. Haven't decided yet. I'm a swing voter. You know, I'm a moderate.
Thank you. Do you need a pen? Oh no, you're on the
You must return your pens or I will.
Here, you can borrow it. You can borrow it.
I have a pen.
Cab. Do you need a pen?
Yes, thank you.
I love my pens.
It's a very nice pen. It's a little butterfly.
I know.
It's so cute.
I have a butterfly and a mushroom.
It's like a fairy themed pen.
I know, I love those.
Like
I got it from Cab, I think.
Please.
Or was it Cab?
Pen in the air when you're done with it so I can take it back.
That might be it. I still need to pick out my prizes. I have not yet kind of screened all of them, except for this one. But I write most of the stories.
Is this one broken?
No, it's fine.
Oh, you already wrote it?
Yeah. I'm just
I
passing.
guess you're voting for yourself probably anyway.
Wait. Do we write like full name? Do we legal drop?
I think it's just senator name.
Oh, well that's not what I did.
Alright,
I don't think they're gonna throw it out if you.
just write, you can just write last name or senator last name, it doesn't matter.
Like that's a melon.
I just figured last name would be easier. What else?
I enjoyed your pen. It was very
Thank
cool.
you. They're really fun. I put them. Let's put them in mission statement. I'll get back to that.
Please fold them when you're done writing.
Hold
Raise your hands if you're done. I'll start kind of collecting.
I never got
Also,
this paper.
I love
You
how
can't
they
vote.
see through.
I'm just collecting pens on paper. Yeah, that's fine. Grades, pens, anybody with pens.
Technically,
Spare pens, spare pens,
old
spare pens.
bylaws, you are part of a
Spare
legislative.
Yeah, because like, I don't
No, it doesn't.
But not enough to vote.
No, yeah. It's in the bylaws that we have rules, not the correct one. That it's legislative bylaws. That was so confused for like, yeah. Alright. No,
I
You got
have no
everybody's
questions.
things?
I'm on.
Is everybody?
Papers.
I have a question. May I propose an automatic runoff?
I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what that means? That's all I can talk about is ranked choice voting. Are you kidding me?
Oh, ranked choice. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I did this last year. That's
Yeah,
all.
I did do that last year.
You messed the same one last year.
I know,
We
well,
don't
Robert
have
dropped
political
it by
parties.
throwing all the shirts on it and pushed it off.
that's where you are.
Yeah. I probably should pick it up. That probably would have been good to have up before people started voting, actually.
So everybody voted? Everyone
I
voted?
Anyway.
I also saw that, and I would leave
We
it.
collected everyone's
Just everything.
Actually, I think it's supposed to be Catherine, to be honest.
Straight, yeah. Just for being an athlete.
Okay, don't worry guys.
And And I think
But
that's
I
what's
literally
nice.
like, I
While Catherine's voting, I'm gonna do a little speech again. So as president, I am in a interesting spot that I myself working on navigating, where I kind of have to find the line between dealing with like making the administration mad and following the things that we want to do, and like keeping that relationship positive so that we can keep making the pushes we need. You all are not under the same obligations that I have, and whoever is President Pro Tempore is honestly not even under the same set of obligations. So I want you all to understand that you are not under any obligation to, I would like you to try to make SGA not get in too much hot water, but you are under no obligation to follow any sort of line of reasoning that stops you from pushing for the changes that you want here. You have all been elected independently of me. I'm not your boss. The other students voted for you. So just keep that in mind. And regardless of how this election goes, I hope all of you continue to be engaged. It was really cool to see how interested you all were. I'm very glad that you all so quickly have gotten into the swing of things and are trying to ask the hard questions. It's really cool to see. Anyway, that's all. We'll get back to voting.
It's gonna take a minute, so like, chat.
Yeah, chat about voting.
Stop the count.
Stop the count, guys. It's going to be great.
Do you think I got it?
I think you probably did.
I don't get it.
I'm glad you're adding, a 20th thing to your already 500 things you do.
I just got upgraded, or a promotion to A&E editor for the Globe, so now I'm an editor. Like an official editor.
I got a conflict of interest there.
Why is that a conflict of interest?
Because you're
Am I writing stories about am I writing stories about SGA? No,
Maybe.
I'm not
Could
allowed
be.
to. I already can't because I'm a senator.
Yeah.
Ever heard of this?
Makes you feel any better.
Yeah, that's our beat writer right there. We beat them and then they write.
Oh, okay.
Beat writer, like you beat them.
Gotcha.
Like how a good newsroom should run.
What?
How a good newsroom should run.
Well, of course.
Did you get your Andy package? Is that a peanut package?
My what? Oh, Anthony?
News Blue Trail?
Andrew? Conte? Not Anthony?
Andrew Conte.
Yeah. I have my interview with him tomorrow. He was like, that's the best, as soon as I can get in. I was like, dude, I have this due Wednesday. I sent him multiple times.
I don't get it.
I literally sent him multiple times. I'm free all after this today. Babe, work with me. He was like, I can't do anything after 4, and I'm like, why? Why?
He's been begging for coverage.
That's what I'm fucking saying. And then he literally was like, who is this for? And I was like, you, babe. You wanted this. It's for you. He was like, what organization's making this? YouView. For you. You know the company, like the organization you've been reaching out to, like pissing us off about? Yeah, us.
Maybe it looks low.
Yeah, no, so I'm gonna do my stand-up and everything then, because I'm gonna do it outside of like the CMI and the Playhouse. Because like News of Blues is at the Playhouse, but it's like sponsored by like the CMI, so I'm gonna get multiple shots of coverage. Just so I can get some B-roll. Because our interview is in the CMI.
We're back. Okay. And with 9 votes, I am happy to announce that our new President Pro Tempora for this year will be Robert Fornatera. So I have to change your plate thing now to say something new. Alright, so thanks to everybody for your participation and patience with that. Now we're gonna move on to normal meeting stuff. Thanks for coming. So, up next will be our first open floor for the meeting. Open floor is where you share anything that you think might need attention, anything you kind of have to share that you think would be good to bring to discussion for this body. So does anybody have anything for the first open floor?
So, we were talking about this earlier. A student email campaign for the union. I feel like that would probably be a really, really good idea, and we should probably like work on that. I was also thinking more of like, instead of like your name is added to the list. and then like showing love and support to the staff and like specifically tailoring it to I don't even well, tailoring it to specifically like trying to make students and teachers more like connected and more liking of each other, because I mean we need to support our faculty because that's who teaches us, and you know who deserves to get fucking money.
Anything else, Robert?
Like, do you like just like to kind of like piggyback off that? Do you mean like instead of like saying like you've been added to like the list, like you've been added to like a part of a movement or like part of a journey or something like that?
Yeah, and I mean like I was also thinking like the students can like share specific things.
Oh,
like, based on
that'd be very nice.
yeah, like based on your
We could have like a general email and then like maybe like an additional thing we could
Yeah,
add if
yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted to formulate it like that. Right.
I would like to make some inquiries about how we can like get that meeting to look at the university's like finances. I'm not sure what the rules specifically about that are.
That'll be something we'll definitely have to look into, because I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure. Because they may want it to be like a closed meeting with just SGA and like have it not be filmed potentially. I don't know what they would want from that, but we would definitely want them to at least talk to us, and we could always branch from there what we need to do with that information.
Do you know like who we would talk to about that and who should do the talking about it?
You got it.
I'm having my first monthly meeting with President Brusalis on the 30th. I will bring up to him at that meeting that we would like to have a collective, like a meeting where we can speak to him about that, and I can also continue to look into who we would need to speak to if there are other business-related people we need to talk to about that.
Anything else for our first open meeting?
So, I'm not fully positive on everything, but my roommate does like music and they're not in the COPA program, and a lot of different like the recording studio and a lot of different places are closed off to people that are specifically in that program, and I do feel like we should try and bring that to attention to like open that up to all students, because people did pick here because they are artistic and they do want to do stuff like that, but they may not have wanted to major in something like that. And I just feel that we are paying for the facilities and everyone should get access to it, not just specific people.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. That's definitely something once we get the ball rolling for you guys, get you officially trained and get you into committees, which I will send you an email about and I'll talk about later. We can definitely get it into a position where we can come to an administrator or something about that issue and see if we can address it anyway.
I don't know if this was already on the statement, but I feel that like we as SGA should make like a statement of support with the union if that's at all possible, if that's even on like the agenda for this meeting or another meeting in the future, but we should definitely make a statement of support for the union.
Yeah, that is something that's definitely within our right. How that would like work if we wanted to pursue that. We can gauge some interest in that in the following like week or two, and talk about whether or not that's something we want to pursue. And then members of our executive cabinet and anybody that wants to join, we can hold a meeting about crafting that statement, and then we can bring it to a legislative body vote, and then it would be based on a majority vote if we publish that and where we would publish that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anything else for our first open forum? Alright, let's move forward then to reports of the executive cabinet. We'll start with President McLaughlin.
Hello again. All right. Well, as I just previously said, I am on the 30th meeting with President Brusalis. I'm also meeting, I don't remember the day, Wednesday, with Dean Halo. So we'll be having conversations about lots of stuff. We'll be having conversations about what we've been talking about here. I can also talk to Dean Halo if he knows of anybody else we should be speaking to for those sorts of investment-based conversations. In addition to that, as Vice President Peterson said, we are figuring out committees. That's something we can go more in detail in, but there are standing committees, communications, diversity, equity, and inclusion, student innovation, rules, and finance. You will be each headed by the specific executive cabinet member. Vice President Peterson will get your interest in which one you are most interested in to get that figured out. There are also vice chair positions open. To speak with, if you are interested in it, it is a $50 per semester stipend. You will be the right hand to the chairs of each individual committee. So if you are looking for a higher intensity position where you're more involved, where you have more of an incentive to be involved, it's an additional office hour, but talk to the different committee heads about that. I believe that's most of what I have to say. Thank you. I spoke at inauguration, at the inauguration recently. It went well, I think. I tried to speak to our shared interest with the faculty as students. I hope to continue a good relationship both with the faculty and with our administration so we can push for some of the initiatives and changes we want. Additionally, we have been speaking with community engagement about volunteer opportunities. If you have no idea what to do for an office hour and you want to do something on campus, they are looking for volunteers both for the Pioneer Pantry and for the community garden. So I will reach out with more information on that when I have it. Yeah, I said a lot of what I wanted to say already, but I hope you all understand the position that you are in to speak up for some of the things you want changed. You all already brought up a number of initiatives already that I think I hope you all pursue. I'm very interested in continuing with each of you. Reach out if you have anything you'd like changed or brought up. We already have a hand up, so can I? Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I spoke to one of the janitors and they were telling me and my friends to spread the word that we shouldn't be eating in the dining hall, and that it's very dirty, and it's just first years are required to have a meal plan, and I just think that's kind of a scam of our money because I don't even before she even said that, I didn't even want to go to the dining hall myself.
Yeah, we have in the past had a relationship with Culinart that we, last year, unfortunately didn't have the number of people to keep up with it very consistently, but this year we're planning again to make a Culinart ad hoc committee that specifically is there to address situations with food and our dining facilities, so if that's something you're interested in, we can definitely, once senator training is done, set up an ad hoc committee for Culinart if you'd be interested in pursuing stuff like that further. Right.
Piggybacking off what she said, there were comments made about black mold in the cafeteria, and there are also students that are commenting about filing lawsuits against the school for black mold being in their room, and for the elevators in Lawrence and other buildings are out of date with their inspection and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
If you would be interested in compiling some of that information to bring to the Senate, that would be absolutely something that we could discuss. Absolutely.
I wanted to bring up our ill-fated meeting with them about this last year that I had to leave in frustration. These are not new problems. These are things that we have tried to go over with them last year. They were in general very flippant about it and dismissive about the mold being on the bread and the bugs being on the salad. But that's not me trying to discourage you. I would, in fact, highly encourage you to pursue this further. I'm just warning you that it might be a little taxing.
Okay, we gotta bring it back to reports of exec ed, because we only have 30 minutes and we still have more stuff to get to. So, is there anything else that anybody wants to add real quick? Alright, back to you, Kyle.
Yeah, so I'm gonna brush through everything else just so we can keep going, but speaking to what you just said, feel free to reach out to administrators as a senator, as a representative of the student body, and if you would like anybody to come speak here, just talk to me. We can get that on the schedule. Christy Weiss is the head of Culinary, if you're looking for a specific food-related thing. Christy Weiss is the head of Culinary. She covers other schools though, she's often busy, so Holly Pascal would also be a good point of contact. I'm going to let us move on.
Alright, for my report, I'll keep it pretty brief. I find it on my gavel, so it's shiny and black, and it's so cute. And I finally am not using Care Bear water bottle, which is great. Like Kyle said, we participated in inauguration on Friday. I didn't have a speech, so my experience was more fun than Kyle's, I think. And right now we are planning on lining up a time to update all of the bylaws and constitutions, because some of those things have not been updated in recent year or so, we're not sure. So there's going to be a lot of work on that. I'm trying to find Keely's availability that will line up with everybody else's so we can participate in that. I'm still experiencing a lot of scheduling conflicts with the UCC. We are still planning to meet, but they are very busy, I'm very busy, and our schedules are very opposite. So that will happen eventually. And this week I will be attending, which I'm sure Treasurer Beard will speak more about, the COPA recording rights meeting, and as well as I will be at the meeting with Dean Palo that Kyle brought up. But I will move on to Chief of Staff Grayson Joseph and keep it moving.
Yeah, okay, I'll also be brief, very excited that we have a new President Pro Tempore. That means that anytime you guys are gonna be absent or have questions on office hours or any of that, you should be going to PPT Fornatero. But as always, you can still contact myself or VP if you need to, but Robert's really here to act as your liaison between the executive cabinet and yourself. So really, he should be your new point of contact. But any questions, you can always reach me. Okay, that's it.
Parliamentarian Adams, I believe, gave you a report.
Parliamentarian Adams, as you may have noticed, is not here, but they gave me something to read. Hello everyone, and welcome to the new senators. For those who don't know me, my name is Arden Adams. It's not. And I have the honor of serving as your parliamentarian this year. I'm currently leading a common hour Q&A with a visiting director, which is why I can't be with you all today, but I cannot wait to be a part of the great work we will do this school year. For those of you who are new and don't know what my job is, I'm basically in charge of all of the club constitutions for campus and working with students on creating, changing, and editing their organizations. My big project for this year is to ensure that what is on PointSync matches what's in the office. Our files of constitutions are very unorganized right now, and many things haven't been updated. By the end of the year, I want to ensure that everything is neat, clean, and organized for the next year. My rules committee will help me with that. I cannot wait to meet everyone and get to work.
Beautiful. Thank you, Arden.
Thank you, Arden.
Next up is DEI Chair William.
DEI committee had our first meeting on Friday. I can elaborate more on that with the committee reports. I had a meeting with Keisha Lalama, the director of the Playhouse. She clarified to me that there is a new head of culinary at Point Park. So emailing, Christy may not respond to email for Point Park email because she technically operates outside of Point Park now, but is still associated with culinary. So but I can't recall the name of the new person, direct main contact for culinary. So I can get that information. And I'm in contact with, currently in discussions with the culture district about performances. And then that's okay.
Thank you, DEI Chair William. Recording Secretary Steiner.
Okay, I arranged for our beat writer to be here, Peyton's here.
Yay!
And then I worked out a date with our graphic designer coordinator to
talk about website upkeep. And then during our exec cab meeting last week, I wanted to plan to talk to everybody and then DEI Chair Williams about possibly getting Metro products back into the university restrooms. So, pretty much it.
Report for treasurer Beardy.
Alright, so I created a common funding mistakes document for our organizations that'll be distributed for the next funding period. Just listing some of the things we ran into this funding period and some of the things from the involvement advisors that they have said have been repeated problems. So hopefully we'll see less of those next time. I also updated all of our sale forms to be up to date with the current clubs and organizations that exist on campus. Touching on what Dylan mentioned earlier, for those who aren't aware, currently the standard of performance, careers and things like that is to provide some footage of performance as opposed to auditioning in person first all the time now. The problem is that the Playhouse does not purchase recording licenses for any of our shows. They tried to kind of resolve this issue in the past, but I'm going to be working on it this time around. And Dylan and I have a meeting with Keisha Lama and Kim Martin over at the Playhouse on Friday to talk that situation over.
Thank you, treasurer Beardy. Com director Bradley.
To make things lighter, I've been working closely with our executive cabinet to keep the social media upkeep. I've also we filmed the first episode of our SGA podcast for the semester with the president. That will be going out next Thursday, and we will be filming with our next guest this week, Vice President Peterson. Other than that, I'm looking for people who are interested in social media for our comms committee and many other things to just keep me and graphic design coordinator Pew with our committee. And so yeah, join comms committee if you're interested in social media and communications. That's all.
All right. Next up, graphic design coordinator Pew.
Join the comm committee. You want to work with me so bad. But on a real note, I know I wasn't here last week. You must have saw the beautiful, cool sign that points in this direction, though. I did that. It was Portal inspired. Thank you, Mr. President, for that inspiration. And then we made the SGA podcast logo. It's very cute, very cozy. We want to go for like lo-fi vibes. We're in the process of doing a branding kit for that, like a light branding kit, but it's gonna be cute. I'm also about to, I've not started it yet, but I'm about to start the creative brief into Point C process, so I can actually get notified whenever you do submissions for the creative brief, so I can actually be notified that they're there, and I don't have to have you email me separately that you submitted one. So that's going to be happening super soon, and that's about it. Yeah, welcome, new senator.
All right. And Robert, I'm going to assume you don't have a report because we just
How'd you guess?
All right, next we'll move to reports of standing committees. Obviously, these have been kind of up in the air since we were waiting to swear you guys in. And like I said before, that'll be an email that's sent out that makes more sense about this. But we will just jump right into it. For Rules Committee, Arden sent you something.
Yes. Once again, from Arden, be on the lookout for scheduling our first meeting and discussing future meeting times. I'll be talking to Kyle and Dylan more about that later.
All right. Finance Committee?
We will be having our second round of meetings in about 2 weeks here, so if you're assigned to Finance Committee, be on the lookout for email from me saying when those are going to be.
Comms Committee?
Join. Join.
Student Inno, we just got the chair for the head, so we're going to skip. DEI chair?
Yeah, we met on Friday at 3. Mainly only the treasurer for AAPI was able to attend, but it was a nice discussion we broached about the AAPI's involvement in the multicultural festival. I went over kind of possible guidelines for possible collaborations for more mutual benefit between collaborations with other organizations, and yeah, hoping for more good attendance.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to reports of senators. others. Obviously, many of you are very new. I don't expect you to have anything. In the future, we'd like you to bring reports to meetings just so we can know what's going on, what kind of initiatives we're working on, where you're at with things. So, do any of our other senators have anything to report? Great.
DEI chair Williams and I met with Travis last week. Semi-promising, I'd say. So we brought up a few concerns. We brought up title. Travis is the accessibility guy. And essentially, if you've been having problems getting responses from accessibility, hopefully can be fixed by the fact that they hired another person to work with them. So we hope and pray that they'll answer their emails. Do not call them, they're not gonna get back to you. A big one that we're working on is fire alarm protocol for people that cannot evacuate on their own, cannot get down the steps. We need to schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss that because they don't know what they're doing with that, and we're trying to work that out. And another big one that we're working on is the dining hall layout for those of us that use mobility aids that cannot walk in there at all. We are working on that. So semi-promising.
Alright. We're gonna move forward. We have one piece of old business, being the Constitution we tabled last week. Usually the meetings are not this long. I'm sorry that you've had to stay so long, but we will move forward, and I believe Arden provided a report for Kyle about this as well.
Yes, I'm just gonna read what Arden has to say. The Point Park Bible Study Constitution was tabled since, upon closer inspection of the club trying to be formed, we realized it was essentially the same type of organization as the Coalition for Christian Outreach, same religion, same type of study. Since both guys running the club are athletes, they mentioned wanting to have a special outreach for athletes. I have since emailed them saying that they could make a committee within CCO or make their group athlete focused. They emailed me back saying that they want to stay separate from CCO and want more than just athletes at their gatherings. So after my meeting with Keeley last Thursday, I am still in the process of scheduling a meeting with them. I'll be laying out the ground rules of SGA and stating that they are essentially the same as CCO and that they can either 1, form an athlete committee under CCO, 2, make their separate club available to only athletes, 3, be just a group of friends that gather for Bible study but not recognized as a club and therefore not receive funding, or 4, scrap the club entirely. Due to this, unfortunately, I feel as though we must retable this for next week, and as I have not met with the guys yet, and we have not reached a final agreement. Sorry to do this to everybody, but I think that that's best for right now.
So, with that being said, does the ledge bod motion to bring this to a tabling vote, or would you like to vote on it today?
Motion to bring this to a tabling vote.
Alright, and a second? Right, alright. We will take this to a tabling vote, which will be a simple majority. So all of those in favor of tabling this for next week, please raise your hands.
Can I go?
Yes. Yeah, you vote.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, wait.
I vote.
Please raise your hands high. Sorry, 1, 2. Okay. And then, any opposed? Any abstentions? Alright, I'm sorry, Christian. With that, we will table that until
I
next
get it. He voted against it because his name is Christian.
Alright, we're almost done, y'all. New business. We don't have any new business, so we're moving to our second open floor. Does anybody have anything for our second open floor? Beautiful. Then we will move to announcements. One of our announcements is a live. Do not stay for a group picture. There's people not here, so we are not going to do that today. We'll do that next week. Other than that, look out for an email to schedule your senator training later this week. Please also look out for my committee appointments email that you will probably receive today or tomorrow, depending on when I want to do it. So,
We should talk about vice chairs.
we'll send an email so we can leave them alone for now. Alright, y'all, moving forward, unless there's any other announcements. Beautiful. Our next LegBog meeting will be September 30th, probably in this room. We might change that because of the capacity. Thank you all for joining. Otherwise, you can leave. It'll be at 3:15 on Monday, most likely here. And thank you.
We
And I
usually,
adjourn the meeting at 4:43.
we usually don't stay this long, I promise.
Thank you.
We are scheduled for 5 though.